The ultimate signal you have to pay attention to, nothing else. Stay tuned to find out exactly what I mean. Promise you, it'll be worth it. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Property. So glad you could join me today. If you've been following these weekly newsletters or even my YouTube channel that I put up videos every week, you recall that a few weeks ago, I made an episode that talked about how understanding the difference between what a noise is in the market and what a signal is. And we often get a lot of media headlines chit-chatting about crazy real estate stories, right? And some of it is noise and some of it is signal. Now, you can check out that video by clicking the little eye up here in the top right corner, and you'll be able to kind of understand where I'm coming from. But being able to identify these noises and ignoring them, and also being able to understand the actual signals, can be very difficult for those who are not experienced on exactly what to look for, because there's just a lot of crap out there, right? So you have to keep in mind that people who write these articles are in the media and are usually not real estate professionals, right? So maybe you don't understand what's going on. However, at the same time, you can't trust most realtors either, because ultimately they're just trying to sell you some real estate, okay? So you gotta have to, parse things out. So how do you parse this crap and what isn't? Well, you're in this right channel. Subscribe to Prime Property TV, right? That's exactly what we do, right? So if you're ever confused about the real estate market, here's my ultimate handy dandy, guaranteed, well, mostly guaranteed it's gonna work, metric that you can use. This metric, and you probably heard me talk about it, is called the months of inventory, or MOI for short. This statistic is used very, very heavily in real estate analysis because it's the most reliable metric out there from my perspective. Alternatively, some people like to use the inverse of months of inventory, which is sales to new listing ratio, or SNLR, put it right here. So if you've seen my market watches, you always see that I always talk about this metric because it's so key. And I'm gonna explain to you in this video the difference of this metric in two ways. One being a very simplified version, one a little bit more complicated with some numbers backing to show you why this market is not falling anytime soon, right? So number one, keeping it simple. This is the whole, supply versus demand that everyone talks about, and what apparently is taught in Econ 101, which, I didn't really formally take university, but, I didn't go to business school for that, but this is my version of Econ 101 for you. So the whole premise here is that when there is more demand than supply, when there's not much stuff to buy, but there's a whole bunch of buyers out there, which is what we saw in March 2021 this year, prices will rise, right? So here's my example in a very simple way for you. If I own an Apple store and I sell apples, the fruit, not the phones. If I have 10 apples to sell for the day and I have 10 customers wanting one apple each, then that's perfect. Everybody gets an apple at market value because there's enough for everybody. However, if I have the same 10 apples now and all of a sudden I have 20 customers, I can increase the price of my apples. Yes, some of my 20 customers out there is going to be pissed off and upset that I increased the price of apples, but I bet you I'm willing to let you know that at least half of those customers are still willing to buy that apple at the higher price if they want it bad enough, right? Which is exactly how real estate happens with the FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So in most cases, how badly do you want your apple? And a lot of people say, I want it now because I just can't have it, right? Which means that prices become less important as a factor to them. They just want that thing. So this concept works the exact same with supply and demand. It reverts as well. So if I have more supply than I have demand, then my apples, right, are gonna have to come down in price for me to sell all the apples before they go bad, right? So let's say in that example again, if another fruit stand over there opens next to me and also has 10 apples to sell, now assuming we have the same 10 customers, right? Now there are 20 apples, 10 from me, 10 from the other store, and there's also the same 10 customers from before. So now the same 10 customers have the options of comparing the Apple stores. And now we have competition, and I have to compete with the other fruit store to actually sell my apples, which likely means that I have to drop my price in order to sell the most amount of apples to the most amount of customers. So in relation to kind of real estate, the apples are, listings and inventory, what's out there to buy, and the customers are clearly the buyers, right? So that's how it works. Now let me try to explain the supply and demand in a nerdier way, right? Number two. But if this is the type of real estate content you like, make sure you help us spread the knowledge out there, smash that like button, and subscribe to the Prime Property channel, because every week we talk about real estate content that matters the most to you, right? Because all of this real talk is because we want to be transparent and honest about what the heck is going on in this real estate market, because there is a lot of noise out there and crap, right? And by doing this, we hope that when you're ready to make your real estate move, you'll be like, oh, then that guy, he knows what he's talking about. You'll be like, okay, let's book a call with me using this link here and strategize your future, right? Now, here's explanation number two. This is the ultimate metric, like I was saying, the months of inventory. It dictates whether prices go up or down, similar to my Apple analogy that I was talking about earlier, right? So the general rule of thumb is that if the months of inventory is below 4, it's a seller's market and prices are likely to increase. If the months of inventory is high, above 6, then it's a buyer's market and prices are likely to decrease. So if you take a look at the chart over here, shout out to Ben from Edge Analytics for the chart. This is a slightly more advanced chart, so let me explain to you and you'll see kind of the correlation. This chart here is measuring a percentage of which prices are changing from month to month, which is on the y-axis here, right? And then the inventory, like the months of inventory, is on the x-axis, going horizontal. So this is all the data in the last 15 years plotted onto this one chart. And all the little blue dots that are below the y-axis, below 0%, means that that's a price drop. And you can see that basically all the blue dots show that all the inventory, the months of inventory is over 5. So if you think about it, months of inventory that is over 5, then you're likely to see a price decrease. But this is all definitely not a coincidence, because if you look at the clearer picture, again, I'm going to remap my explanation onto this data. You can see that it's the exact same chart, but I drew a green line for all the months of inventory over 5 and a purple line for all the properties that are above or below 0, just to get a clear delineation. So the bottom right quadrant highlighted in yellow is basically the only time when prices have decreased month over month when you adjust it for seasonality, which is the trends that happen every year. This is the whole thing I was talking about earlier about noise versus signal. You gotta watch again up here, right? Are you seeing the pattern? This is exactly why months of inventory is the ultimate signal detector. Prices don't actually decrease unless months of inventory is above 4 or 5. So all this media headline talking about prices dropping, where they are right now, is designed to draw readers in. The media is just out there, and frankly, 99% of them don't know what the heck they're talking about, and they're not adjusting their analysis for the seasonality, right? So you expect them to, good luck, right? And this is exactly why they're reporting that prices are dropping, right? Now, if you look at the chart again, do you see the red dots on the chart for 2021? They're all in the top left quadrant. We're at record low for months of inventory in the last 15 years. So for those of you who think that a real estate market is going to crash anytime soon, you're not understanding the dynamics of supply and demand. There's nothing to buy, even though if the demand has reduced a little bit. And given the 2021 market conditions, and based on the numbers over here that I can tell, it's highly unlikely that there's going to be a crash anytime soon, with the exception of 2 minor things or major things that I think will happen. The major things that can affect the market really drastically is another pandemic, Delta variant, or the government, like Trudeau gets majority and changes the rules on someone. But outside of those 2 things, I can't see the market trending down, right? And the final note I'll have for you with this is the data that you see over here, right? If you take a look at the month over month increase in 2120, which is the top left quadrant, all red dots, all of them are higher than 3 months. That's 3 months. 3% month over month increase every single month. And this is exactly why prices went up 35% year over year in Canada. And it's to show you how little inventory we have, because the amount of inventory we have is related to which way the prices go. So when all the dots in the top left quadrant, that's exactly why we had such a massive price increase. Now, if you take a closer look at the blue dots right of the green line over here, despite some of the blue dots being past 5 months of inventory, the prices don't magically plummet, right? Sometimes the prices just stay stagnant, they don't really change, or maybe they even increase like a smidgen, like 0.1%, 0.2%, right? Because everyone in Toronto is just so used to property selling like really, really quickly. But when you compare a market that's slowing down from like super peak times, in fact, we're just reverting back to the norm of what most cities are like. It's just Toronto real estate moves really fast. So next time you're reading a media headline or inclined to think that, the world is falling down because, oh my God, prices have declined 4 months in a row, which by the way, I predicted that headline because it happens every single year. I've been doing this long enough. Take a pause, right, when you read these headlines and critically think about what's being reported out there and what's on the other side. What are the actual numbers? What's the actual months of inventory? Because that is the ultimate signal detector, right? Stop reading the headlines that just grab your attention, because sometimes it's just crap. It really is, right? So stay away from them, but if you do read them, reader beware. Now, I'm waiting for this month's numbers to come out for like July. It's either today or tomorrow, and I can uncover the truth behind what the numbers say. But I already know. I haven't seen much inventory out there, which means the market will be the same thing, maybe slightly slow down until it picks up in September, right? So make sure you stay tuned to that every single month and listen to what the numbers say, because I specialize in real estate, unlike most journalists, right? So the market has slowed down, but this is normal because it's just comparing to the start of the year. And it could actually be a good time to buy if you're sitting on the fence. But of course, it's up to you whether you believe all of this or you're going to believe the media headlines, because how you perceive the market is up to you, right? I'm just trying to give you some information. So if you want to book a call and see if it's the right time for you, you can do so using the link right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. And hopefully this gives you an idea of how to parse through the crap and what's not crap. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya. Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one? Oh, you know what? This one's good too. Ooh, this one's really good. You know what? Just watch them both.